And turning now to the seditious conspiracy trial against Oath Keeper founder Stewart Rhodes and 4 of his associates. Today begins week 3 of the prosecution's case against them as the Department of Justice attempts to prove they conspired in an effort to stop the transfer of power following the 2020 election. NBC News Justice reporter Ryan Reilly joins us now from Washington, D.C. with more. Hey, Ryan, always great to see you. So just tell us about these major takeaways so far and what do you think we'll see from prosecution this week?
Sure. So we've heard a lot from the FBI special agents about a lot of the messages that were sent leading up to this attack. We've also heard a lot including from a former member of the Oath Keepers about the quick reaction force that was kept outside of D.C. at a hotel. He said it was the most weapons he'd seen in one location since his time in the U.S. military, and that was testimony we got last week. Coming up this week, I expect more testimony from some of these FBI agents, and what we're sort of waiting on is some of these other cooperating witnesses in this case. There are a number of Oath Keepers who have already pleaded guilty to seditious conspiracy and have agreed to cooperate with the government, and we could expect their testimony coming up, including from one individual who says that he, on the night of January 6th, was in the hotel suite with Stewart Rhodes when Stewart Rhodes tried to get in touch with former President Trump and talked to some sort of Trump intermediary who had the president's ear. He never got directly in contact with Trump, but we've heard a lot about the open letters that Stewart Rhodes wrote in the lead up to January 6th, encouraging Donald Trump to call upon the Oath Keepers and help stop the peaceful transfer of power.
Ryan, I mentioned that this is the 3rd week now, and we know prosecution is coming to the end of their presentation. Do we have any idea when they will rest their case and then we start to hear from the defense?
We don't quite know yet. They do have a lot of witnesses left. We might see this go into the next week after this week, just from the prosecution, and then we can see probably the defense take up their case. And what the defense is going to try to argue, many of them, is that they were some sort of protective measure, that they're going to basically say that they assisted officers in some scenarios, and say that this was just a lot of basic bloviating and a lot of bark and not a lot of bite coming from the Oath Keepers, essentially.
The other thing that we'll be watching for is we do know that the Oath Keepers founder Stewart Rhodes himself is expected to testify. Talk about how pivotal that could be, depending on what we hear, and also, is that a risk?
It's definitely a risk, for sure. I think, especially for some of the other defendants, it's something that could go either way for them. He's going to take a very unique posture, I think, in this case, and essentially argue that he was trying to follow the bounds of the law and was thinking that he was only, if Trump invoked the Insurrection Act, was he going to do anything? It's a very sort of bizarre a defense that we see coming forward, and he's done a media interview during the trial, which is also not something that most lawyers would recommend. Savannah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Ryan Reilly, thank you as always.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.